Hi all. Right back a bit more Empire of the Sun. On Allied card play number 3. Um, so yeah, getting there. Maybe 2 or 3 more episodes. Might finish this off and then I can make a decision on what I'm going to do. Okay, so Axis of Determination, opening phases for the Allies again. So what are they going to do this time? Well, I think we should probably know what they're going to do. So A is, do the Allies have 3 or more cards? We have exactly 3 cards, so yes. B, are there in supply Allied HQs in the Philippines? There are not. C, are there in supply Allied HQs in Malaya? There are not. D, has the Arcadia event been played? Yes, it has. E, has the CBI defence been set? Well, not quite. We've done some movement. So E takes us along to CBI Defence Enhancement with the note 3. And down there says, activate the indicated units priority order and move them to the named locations till you run out of units to move or activations. And yeah, we're just going back up to this again. Because it's not quite set, is it? We didn't get... Oh no, I forgot. They played the weather card, didn't they? So none of it got set at all. Okay, so hopefully I'm going to have a better shot at it this time. So that's our strategy, CBI Defence Enhancement. So what card are we going to choose? Okay, that's a card selection flowchart again. And I was really having a look at this again because it seemed to be there was a slight... I was getting slightly confused by this A. Have any cards been played this offensive phase? And I'm still a wee bit unclear on it. I looked up offensive phase again in the sequence of play. And, I mean, it initially talks about... Hang on, I should have kept the page open, but there you go. 4.2 is the offensive phase, and this is when the sequence of play 4.0. And then 4.21, it talks about an initiative segment. The player with, and this is the beginning of the offensive phase. The player with fewer strategy cards may play his future offensive card. This is not really relevant, but if he does not, the player with the most strategy cards goes first. So this is decide who goes first, and this is the very start of the offensive phase. So the very first time that the Japanese activate first, they play a card in the offensive phase. And then we don't leave that offensive phase. We keep cycling through all the cards until there's no cards left. I mean, it even says that. It says, after the resolution has been completed, the players reverse roles and the new offensive player starts with the next play. This segment ends when both players have played all strategy cards in their hands for the turn. So as soon as the Japanese play a card, there has been a card played for that offensive phase. But you'll notice it did say no at this one, and the thing is, it does want to go and sort the cards though. And okay, we played the Arcadia event card. Is that what it's called? We played that, and admittedly, that we played that before we actually got to sort cards. So I'm not sure if there's something amiss there or not. I mean, if somebody knows where I'm picking that up wrong, could it be that when it says have any cards been played this offensive phase, could it mean for the Japanese, on the Japanese sheet? Well, on this sheet, could that mean for the Allies? Have the Allies played a card this offensive phase? And then, the strange thing there is that they play the Arcadia event before we even get to this card selection bit. So the case would be, yeah, they played the Arcadia event and then we still wouldn't go to sort cards, would we? I mean, I'm maybe being too picky here because, like I've already said, it doesn't really matter if you go from A box into here. You could go in here every time if you wanted. But I did start thinking, well, maybe we want to go in here and maybe another card's been drawn and we need to sort the cards again. You know, there is a time where you could maybe play a card and draw another card. However, it might actually tell you in the sort cards part that if you draw another, I think it maybe does. Hang on. No, I don't see anything that actually states that it would resort the cards, but yeah. I don't know. I mean, my guess is if you do draw another card, then you resort them. But could this be set up for that? So that, but then, whenever you come to A now, as soon as you've played one card, whenever you come to A, it's going to the answer that is going to be yes, and you're not going to go back to sorting cards again. Like I say, I mean, maybe I'm being too picky because it doesn't really matter if you go there. You're coming back to there anyway. So if you go directly to there, or if you go to there and then back down. But maybe somebody could clear that one up for me, and it could just be in the way I'm thinking about it. And just to jump off on a slight tangent, just chucking this in here while I was looking at that. I'm looking at playing events out of sequence. Nah, hang on. This was the part that I wanted to have a look at, wasn't it? So what does that say? Playing events out of sequence. Erasmus is designed to save 2 events to play at the end of the turn. Now, I was just reading that, but you know how I was confused by this 2 card, and it wanted to select 2 cards at the very end. And then that's it saying there. It is designed to save 2 events to play at the end of the turn. I mean, we don't need to read any more of that, really, to be honest, but this is a wee bit unclear about this, keeping 2 events, and this was the sorting out of the cards to make sure you've got 2 cards at the end. I do need a bit more help with that. It carries on to say, but I think the rest of this is just how you could deal with it yourself. However, if playing a particular event card out of sequence during a turn would significantly improve Erasmus' board position or strategy, then feel free to do so. Good card examples here are inter-service rivalry, war in Europe, and political will cards. Along those same lines, if Erasmus has limited strategic options, which is often the case in mid to late game Japan or early game allies, again feel free to play events out of sequence to improve play. So that's it, trying to say, look, you go and try and do what you think might be best, but which is, it's going to make sense sometimes. I think, like I've already said, that because I'm pretty new to this game and don't really understand much of the strategies, then I think I just let Erasmus just maybe make suboptimal moves at times and just accept that I was playing against a player of my same level, let's put it that way, and get away with 1 or 2 from time to time. But yeah, this again is designed to save 2 events to play at the end of turn. I'm just not quite sure about all that. So if anybody understands what I'm trying to grasp here and knows the answer, then please let me know to all these things that I'm trying to get around. Okay, so, well, whether we're sorting cards or not, the cards are already sorted, so have any cards been played this offensive? I mean, I feel like it's yes, so L plus M, and again, as a China front, it's not. We do have a China card in our hand, but the China front is up at stable, so it's fine. So that was L plus M, so that's a no. That's a no. So to B, too zoomed in there, Grant. B is, does the hand currently hold more than 2 cards? We've got 3 cards. That's a yes. So C with a note for 2. Yeah, we don't need to look at that note. That's if the very first card's been played this game. Is this the very first card? That's a no. Down to E. Is there an unrestricted military event available to play? There's not. We've got 2 resource cards and a political card. So E is a no. Takes us down to F. And F is there a restricted military event available to play? Well, that's a no as well. Because, like I say, we don't have any military card. So it's then wanting to do a non-military event OC strategy. And there's a wee note. There's a note 3 attached to that one. And what that says is, use the first card in the sorted order you performed for the cards at the beginning of the fences phase. So there you go. And then what was it? Non-military event OC strategy. There we go. It's down. It's the very last box down there. So that basically says non-military event OC strategy criteria. Pick the card with the highest OC value. So that's saying pick the card with the highest OC value. And the wee note was use the first card in the sorted order. Okay. What if that happened to be not the highest card? It turns out it is, but use the first card in the sorted order. Would that always be the highest card? Not necessarily, I don't think. No, I don't think it would be. Well, in fact, I can just show you that right now, I think. So there's the 3 cards that we've got sorted, and they're sorted right. It's military events, reaction events, then resource events. Now I've got them, the 3 cast and coast, the 3 OC, obviously the highest one there, but I mean, I understand that should be first before that. And then the political, so resource and then political last. So if we go by pick the card with the highest OC value, which is a criteria, we clearly pick this one. Now at the moment, if we pick the card that is first in the sorted order, we also pick this one. Let's just say this card isn't here. And that's the order. The criteria would want to pick this one because it's the highest, but the wee note would want to pick this one because it's the first. So, unless I'm picking something up wrong there, it feels like there's a bit of a contradiction between. There could be a contradiction there. There could be a. I could have something wrong. Though. I'm not starting to pick on rules and whatever. And however, I've been here before with the other games that I've covered, and things have been pointed out and things have been clarified. And I'm not trying to say I'm some kind of expert that's going to like find rules mistakes or need clarifications and whatever. But I'm just saying it has happened before. So, but there's 2 or 3 wee things there that are maybe I'm just not quite clear about. I didn't notice this in the first time I'd done it as well. I just automatically picked this card, I think. Well, let's see what it says in the playthrough. It does look like this is the card. Well, in fact, I know this is the card it picks because I remembered that. But let's just see if it talks about how it shows that, just in case there's some more information there. Okay, so I'm just back before we actually got to card play. Action determination, CBI defense enhancement again. So that was right. Another crack at reinforcing the CBI, it says. Card selection, non-military event, OC strategy. Well, that's what we did come down to. So where do we go next? So the card chosen is Curtis on May. And it says this is a repeat of the last Allied card play. SIAC HQ is 4 activations, and this time with a 3 OC, all the units can make it to their destinations. So, and then it picks the same 4, because we've only got 4 activations again, it's exactly the same, but this time, because we've got the 3 OC cost, we've got 3 movement points for each of these units rather than the 2, which was causing us the trouble before. Right, and no mention about how it came to that card. It just said the card chosen as Curtis O'May. And don't get me wrong, I think that's right. I think that's the card you want to pack. Plus, it gets all these guys to their destination. It's just that wee bit criteria bit, and the note could have got you thinking, well, hang on, that's saying that and that's saying that. In the situation we're in, it was spot on anyway, so again, could be overthinking things. So there's the Curtis O'May card, and you'll see this is a different card this time. It's a resource card. So it's obviously you would play this event to, well, what does it say? Randomly remove 1 card from the Japanese hand if a B-29 long-range bomber air unit is on a hex not air units in China box within range of Tokyo. Oh, okay, so that's something that's going to be a while to get happening. So, and then you would remove that from play as well if you used it as the event. So, yeah, it makes reasonable sense using it now for the 3 OC value. And yeah, so we kind of just ignore everything on the card, again, apart from the 3 and the possible reaction, which is a 3 as well. Okay, and it's going for the SEAC again. So that's up here. Yeah. So the SEAC headquarters, and I'm stalling here to try and remember that word again. And it's no helping me. Right, give me a second. Efficiency rating. That's it. Why does that not sink in my head? I just keep forgetting the word. Efficiency rating. Right, so its efficiency is 1, and the OC card is 3. So we have 4 activations, and yeah, I mean, it is just exactly the same. It's just we're going to activate the first Indian. We'll get the right one this time, so we get the B Indian, which is in Rangoon. And my guess is that they're maybe moving it back a bit because it's not that strong, and they're wanting the stronger one down. Yeah, that's all I can guess from that. And then these 2 the Chinese units get activated too. And by the way, yeah, I mean, they're all in supply now. Hang on. Yeah, because supply is a bit different Overland, isn't it? I've just jumped in there before, and because I was watching on that John Steed. I'm not sure if that's how his surname's pronounced, but anyway, I was watching his videos again. I've watched them a few times, and just to grasp the supply, and apparently you guys that have played this game for a while know that there was a huge change to the rules regarding land supply, overland supply within this new edition of the game, and where if hang on, yeah, I was trying to find it here. The words that matter, I think, are overland logistical range. We're in 6.2 here, supply and attrition, and it's just talking about tracing supply to units. And then there's this part about overland logistical range, which I think is new to the 2nd edition, is it, of the game? It says, if the last hexide crossed when tracing a supply line is a land hexide, the hex containing the unit drawing supply must also be within 4 movement points of ground movement of the supplying HQ, or Kunming if an active supply source, which is that is Kunming, or a supply eligible port. So he's tracing supply to this Indian unit. So that's 1, 2, 3 away. So he's within range, but it is crossing a land hex. So he needs to be able to trace 4 movement points. If he can trace 4 movement points to the actual HQ, then there's not an issue. And I think that's okay, isn't it? Because it's 1 movement point in that clear hex, and then a half, and then a half. So he's fine. Now the thing with this guy is, I could just trace a sea trace, couldn't I, out into sea from the port, and then bring it back in. I think that's one of the dodgy hexes. That's a different colour one, that, though. Does it show that? Oh, it says unplayable island or land area. Okay. So I don't think I can enter that side. But there's nothing to stop me from coming around. I've got enough movement to come, enough range to come round and in that way. And then you might think, well, that's in because you're tracing over sea, that's going to be an enemy zone of influence. But we do have an air unit in here. Oops. There's an air unit in there cancelling that out. So he can trace that way because I don't think he would be able to trace up and around land-wise. And these two Chinese units, I don't think would have the movement to trace to there, but they can trace to Kunming, which is here, I think. Now it gives the rule for that. Kunming, if an active supply source, 13.75. Now I've never looked at that one. Well, I maybe did the first time I looked at all the rules, but okay. Right, I don't think that is a supply source just yet, because it says Kunming, Allied supply and Chinese army units. Kunming is a supply source if the Burma Road is open. 13.78. Or the hump is active through the play of an Allied event card, number 17. Well, that card's not been played. The Burma Road being open. The Burma Road is a strategic transport route. What is it? Oh yeah, it's got Burma Road. Just moving up there. Burma Road, no hump. Oh, okay, so it is open. Right. It must start open then. That's maybe something that the Japanese want to move then, is it? Okay, well, that does mean that that's a supply source, so there's not a problem there. I was thinking, though, that the other thing is they can trace four movement points to a supply traceable port. What was it called? A supply eligible port. So this is half a movement, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. So it can actually trace into this port. These could trace into this port. Oops. And then that's a supply eligible port, I believe. So I think that would work as well. But however, it looks like this Burma Road's open, so these units can actually trace supply from the hex that they're sitting on. And then activating the units from that HQ, they're all within 10. So just to go over that, but because I was looking at some of that stuff recently, and yeah, there is a lot goes on up there as well. Burma Road and all these transport routes that need to be built, and then the bridge over the River Kwai, and yeah, there's a lot going on there. Okay, so they're all active. I've activated all them, and we're going to move all them to where they want to go. So the first Indian this time is going to go 2 movement into here, and then half a movement in there, half a movement in there. So that's the whole 3 movement to get into here. And then this guy's going to go half a movement into there, and then another 2 to get into Akiab. Yeah. I'm not going to get that one very well, I don't think. And then the 2 Chinese units. The 66 goes to Lashio. So that's, well, these were alright to make it, because this is just half, and then another half for 1. And then this guy goes to Mandalay, I think. Yeah, so that's half, 1, 1.5. Yeah, so they've all got to their destinations, and all is good. So yeah, and that's it, and there's no post-battle moves to make with these, because these were all... yeah, hang on, sorry. Oh, Japanese reaction we should have looked at. Of course, right. I'm just looking down there and there's not a Japanese reaction though, so I'm just going to move these guys back to where... Right, just tidy them up, and we'll go and have a look at the reaction. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward this time, isn't it? So A is there a weather card available? Well, no, there isn't. I used it the last time. C, are there any special reaction situations. There are not. And then D, are there any battle hexes? There are not. And it takes us down to K and L. Is there a submarine card? Is there at least one enemy unit? Yeah, that's a no. So then execute post-battle movement if applicable. And it's, well, it's not applicable. So it says there, execute post-battle movement applicable. There are no Japanese units to post-battle move. So effectively this means no reaction over to the Japanese. Alright, okay. My guess is that should say allied units, but I think, although it was talking about post-battle move. Yeah, no, I suppose that was looking at the reaction, wasn't it? Anyway, there's not been a combat, there's not been the need for post-battle move. So that's a card done, and that leaves allies with 2 cards now. So okay, well that didn't take that long, so hopefully we can push and play the next Japanese card play. Well, there looks like there's a lot more involved to this one, but we'll see. So, access termination, still open in phase. Right, are Allied HQs in the Philippines, DI and Malaya out of supply? They are now. The ABDA's now out of supply, isn't it? We got that, didn't we? Yes. So I think that's a yes. B, are the DEI surrender objectives occupied? No, that'll be a no. Yeah, because DI surrender objectives. Well, we still don't have some of these places. We got Batavia. Chilwat is not. It's still controlled by the Allies. So that's a no. So B takes us along to G. Is it game turn 3 or later? It is not. It's game turn 2. So A plus C plus D. Right. We're in a different place now, aren't we? So are Allied HQs in the Philippines out of supply? Yes. And then what is C? Does Japan have 3 more cards? It has 3 cards, so that's a yes. And D, does Japan control less than 13 resource hexes? Yes. So it's going to push across to F. F is the logistics value, 20 or more. It is. We fixed that at the beginning at 28. So yes. So it's taken us to aggressive southern resource strategy here. And it's got note number 1 attached to this, which says activations must not allow Allied HQs to become in supply. Okay. Well, there you go. Remember how we were moving that air unit from Kuala Lumpur? Just says activations there though. Doesn't say that you're moving it. Unless it's just maybe it's meaning that, wasn't it? I'm just thinking the situation twice we moved the air unit from Kuala Lumpur, and it was even made a note of in the playthrough that, you know, players that know what they're doing here would find this an odd move, maybe yada yada, but it wasn't really doing any damage. But that looks like that would be preventing that from happening, because it was temporarily letting the Malaya HQ in Singapore in supply while it was away doing its thing, and then at post-battle moved back there to stop it. So yeah, well, we'll see how that, if that comes into it. So what did we say it was? Aggressive southern resource strategy. I think it's that second one down. Is that the right one? It's got to be 1 attached to it, so I think so. Aggressive southern resource strategy. So it's looking to do DEI surrender, then Malaya surrender, Philippines surrender, and then there's a roll of 1d10. Which, yeah, we'll not get to that. So DEI surrender again So it's just bringing us to the priority is going to be back across here and follow on to where we're going. I think Talachap and Surabaja are going to be targets, but there is things in there, hexes, so I think that's our strategy. And then so now we need to know what card we're going to play, but I'm just going to look at, let's just check the play through here to find, is that, yeah, card play number 4, that's it there. So aggressive southern resource strategy, yeah, that was right, so we did get that. So it says, now that all the Allied HQs in Malaya, Philippines and DEI are out of supply, the AOD chart resolves differently, and Japanese Erasmus shifts strategy from neutralising Allied air to conquering strategic targets to gain resource locations. Okay, so on to card selection for this strategy. So A is, have any cards been played this offensive phase? Well, yeah, I mean, I've not got any new cards. The cards are sorted anyway, so I think the answer is yes. So down to B. I think it's only that one that throws me, the Allied one, because I think that's only one that says no, and I thought it should have been yes, but however, anyway. So yes takes you down to B. Does the hand currently hold why do I keep saying hold more than 2 cards? Yeah, we've got 3 cards, so yes. C, is this the very first card to be played this game? No, down to E. Oops, sorry, I maybe not seen that. So C was very first card to be played this game. No, down to E. Is an unrestricted military event available to play? There is not. We have one military event and it's restricted, so E is a no. And then takes us down to F. Is a restricted military event available to play? Well, right, this is a yes, but the note on F takes us down to note 2, and then this is where we're at. Is there a restricted military event available to play? So, and then we get this note about Operation MI. Now, this is only military event card that we do have in our hand still. So it should not be considered, and then basically, unless, or it's the only remaining military event card available to play that can fulfill the objectives. Well, we need to know if it can do that. So for the purposes of the evaluations, card Operation MI should not be considered unless Japanese Erasmus or it's the only remaining military event card available to play that can fulfill the objectives. So, well, it will be able to fulfill some of the objectives because it's a 3 OC card. So my guess is that F is a yes, and G is, do all available military event card restrictions prevent the attack or capture of the chosen objectives? Yeah, I guess they do, because Operation MI, which is the only military event card we've got left, and I know it's saying that we don't want to play that unless it's the only military event card we've got left. But its conditions are all battles must be fought on 1 hex islands. Well, that's not what we are trying to battle in the Dutch East Indies, and these are, their targets are Chawat Jap, Surabaja and things like that. So that is not. So my thinking is that's then going to take us to a restricted, that's where we were before, wasn't it? Restricted event OC strategy. Goes, do all available military event card restrictions prevent? Yes, they do prevent it. So restricted event OC strategy. And it's got note 2 again talking about the MI card, but And then obviously I've got this confusing criteria here. Pick the card with the highest OC value. Well, unless it's a military event, and there are non-military event choices. I don't know. I need help with that one. I need help with that one. Because now we've got Operation MI, which is the 3, and we've got War in Europe, which is the 3, and it's a non-military event. So I don't know, but it picks this card. I remember that because that's again where I was. Right. Anyway, let's not go back there. Somebody will help me out. Hopefully soon. Okay, so let's just go through where we've been. So aggressive southern resource strategy. And we've done this, yeah. So card selection, restricted event, OC strategy. That's correct. So we got to the right place. And it says, in reading through all the notes, the card selected is Operation MI, but it can only be used as an OC because the restrictions make it unusable in this situation as an EC play. Okay. Yeah. The first available target in the DEI surrender objective is Chawatjap. So now we're getting a task force composition for Chawatjap using Operation MI card as an OC. Okay, so that's Operation MI. So it just, again, that's one of the ones where we're just ignoring all the text here. Just the 3 matters, and obviously the OC value 5 is what would be the reaction intelligence role. So, well, with us heading into this area, I think they're probably going to be wanting to use the South HQ again. Yeah, the South Seas seems far enough away, and there's a big selection of Japanese units in this area now, so yeah, I think this is the one we use. So it's got a efficiency rating, of 1. So that 1 on top of the 3 from the Operation MI OC gives us 4 activations. And just going back to find out what we want. What is our strategy again? It's Dutch East Indies surrender. So just having a look back at that. Well, we did see that Chawatjap was a priority, isn't it? Yeah, because we've got Batavia sorted. So Chawatjap's the first priority, and then Surabaja, and then if we've got, we've only got 4 activations here though, so, and there's units in both of these, so it's probably Chawatjap, Surabaja. So we're looking to build a task force for this. So let's see what we get here. So A is this a near naval attack on the target? Well, no, it won't be this time, because Chawatjap's got a ground unit in it. So, no. B, is the target a coastal island hex? It is. C, can you capture the target with an overland advance? Yeah, maybe. Hang on. Yeah, because we've got this really strong army here. Shouldn't it's an army, but whatever. We've also got this 4-6 unit as well, and these guys are only 2 movement points to move into there, and we're going to have 3 movement points. Now we don't need to bother about the HQ. That's not got any strength or toughness or anything like that. I think if we move into that hex while it's there, I think it just gets removed. And the fact that Abda has got the wee yellow dot on it, I think, tells us that when that is removed, it's not coming back. Whereas I think the other ones go on the turn track, the following turn, and then you can put them somewhere else. Right, so, well, if you've got 18 against, well, in fact, let's just say we bring both these guys in. So that's 22 against 12 and 12. No, that's 22 against 24. So that's not quite going to... So what was the question it was asking us? Can you capture the target with an overland advance? Well, that seems to suggest no then, doesn't it? Right, but hold on here, right? I admit I had a wee sneak peek at what the answer was. So I admit to that one. And this is what worries me. This is what worries me when we stop looking at this playthrough and we try to do things ourselves. I'm going to be floundering about the place. Because to capture this hex, we go into battle on that hex as long as the winner in a ground battle is the one that loses the least amount of steps. If you both lose the same amount of steps, the defender still holds the hex. I think that's right. That sounds pretty good. I'm not reading any of that, by the way. That's just off the top of my head. So if we put even if we just put that one unit in there, but hold on though, say he gets a 2 times result. Is that what you can get that? Oh, that's not any good anyway, is it? If he got a 2 times result, he would be dealing 12 points of damage to that core army. It must be Korean, this, is it? So, and then 12 points of damage to that does nothing. So, another 18 points of damage back. Now, yeah, but if we've got a half result, well, you know what? It's not asking that. It's not talking about damage numbers. It's just saying, can you capture the target with an overland advance? And you know what? I'm not really looking at overland advance, which is highlighted. Give me a second. So as it's all highlighted overland advance, there's some instructions down here which we should have looked at. So overland advance is a potential ground attack, must be large enough to capture, and then it's got notes 6, 7, so we'll come to them in a second. Capture the hex on a ground combat result of 1 times, and at least 1 ground step must survive enemy result of 2 times. And then it also talks about including potential AA reaction and also from adjacent hexes with sufficient movement points to reach the battle hex. Yeah, there's quite a bit in this. And then notes 6 and 7 it was. So 6 says, when it talks about capture, in this context means winning the battle by inflicting more step losses than the defender does with an indicated combat result, meaning Erasmus rolls this result, or more while the defender rolls the same result or less. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit heavy, isn't it? And then 7 is, in case Erasmus must conduct retreats for opposing units, it will do so in order of weakest to strongest defending units following the retreat rules. Right, okay, that's not really relevant as such to what we're trying to achieve. So, yeah, there's a bit to kind of take in. Sorry, I'm looking at damage level now. There's a bit to take in with that. So, as long as we can do a 1 times result, so going back to that core unit, 1 times result is 18. 18 against the allied 12 is, and at least 1 ground step must survive enemy result of 2 times. Yeah, that's fine, isn't it? Because, like I just said, so it is telling you numbers there, as in, if I just read that bit, whereas I was saying it wasn't asking about numbers. It's saying, if we get a 1 times result, we will deal a step loss. This unit will take a step loss. If they get a 2 times result, we need to be able to keep 1 step. Does it say? And at least 1 ground step must survive an enemy result of 2 times. Yeah. So it would. I mean, 2 times 6 is 12, so it can't deal damage back to that. What I'm wondering there, though, if say this was an 1812, right, and it was in this hex fighting, then our 18 would be 1 time, so we would take a step loss on that, and then the 2 times 6 would be enabled to take a step loss on the core unit. So they would both take a step loss, but it seems to allow that because it says, and at least 1 ground step must survive an enemy result of 2 times. So this would just flip, but then that would flip as well. But then they would then hold the hex because, like I just said, we've both lost a step, the defender wins that battle. Of course, it might just be sort of saying, you know, that's where the wee bit random factor is, unless I'm not quite getting that one right. Okay, right, I think that's enough. Let's go to the playthrough and just see what they come up with. Yeah, sorry, I thought I'd better go back here because it does look like we've decided that C, which is can you capture the target with an overland advance, the way I'm reading things there is a yes. And okay, I've looked ahead. It is a yes, right? So D or E plus F. Now, the way you work that one is, I think then and in parenthesis, you do that, you work out that one first. But I suppose it's D or E plus F. So what is D? D is a target unoccupied. Well, that's a no, but we could get an E plus F. So what is E plus F? Does the target contain only enemy naval units? No. And F, is it possible for ground units to march into and out of the target? So that's going to become a no, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just going to jump away for that. That's going to become a no. And basically, because I know there's D's not a possible and E's not a possible without needing to add F. Because the target does not contain only naval units, it's got a ground unit. So no takes us to ground attack with air naval support. So, and then just jumping across to there. Ground attack with air naval support. Our force is going to be ground units, naval units, air and carrier units. Okay. Ground attack with air naval support. Is that right? Yeah, well, let's just check. I think it's right. Yeah, ground attack with air naval support. Where is it? Here. So activate units of the target, and then it goes yes, we've got enough, we've got the strength, move activated units, and then K plus L, what is that again? K plus L is can enemy naval units, naval or ground units react to this target? Well, yeah, no they cannot. I was going to say, well, what about the Dutch unit now? But no, because this is all out of supply. This ABDA headquarters is out of supply, so cannot supply that Dutch unit anyway. That's the whole point of isolating that before we do that. So, yeah, so that's a no. And then M is this the last objective? So jumping back here. And that is no, so we create a new force for the next target. So it depends what it's doing here though. So let's find out what it's going to do. So it says let's again use South HQ for 4 activations, right? So that we've got that. The first task force to move is pretty straightforward. The core army in Batavia will ground move to Chilachap, and CV Shikaku will also activate and move there as well to maximum the ground attack bonuses. The one allowed battle hex for no sea offensive gets created. Oh yeah, of course, we can only create 1 battle hex. So, yeah, so the only other places we're going to have to take, they'll need to be empty, won't they? I think. So, let's just see what it's going to do here. Yeah, and this is where I would be struggling, I think, if I had to do this by myself. So it's activating this, and it's activating Shikaku. Oops. So that's our first two activations. So we're down to two. And then, well, like it does its usual and just kind of moves these first, which is fair enough. It's not really an issue, is it? So yeah, these ground units go in and attack. And Shikaku was going in as well. Right. And the reason for that, it says that will, to maximum the ground attack, the ground attack bonuses. Yeah. And what that is, I'll put them underneath there. What that is if you're the only one that's got air units in the battle, you get a +2 modifier, and if you're only the one that's got naval units in the battle, you get a +2 modifier. That's right, isn't it? Where's the... So that's why it's putting that in there. But again, this is something that you're going to have to just decide. And these are probably the trickiest parts for me. I mean, I don't think there's any mention within Erasmus to say that this is a good idea. You're just going to have to realise it's not this is a good idea, that this is what you should do. It certainly doesn't say that in the playthrough, does it? I mean, it says it's maximum the ground attack bonuses, and right enough, I mean, where are they? Yeah, so there's the ground attack combat results, and as you can see, +2 if only the offensive player has naval units in the battle hex. And then +2 if only the offensive player has active air units and there are no reaction player air or CV, CVL, CVE units in the battle hex. So, and we've already found out that they can't react with any naval units. So it's a guaranteed that, but I didn't see anything that was giving you instruction to do that. Apart from the playthrough just telling you. So obviously what I mean by that is this is something I would have to decide for the Japanese when if I was playing against them, and I guess these are the things that I'm less comfortable with, but okay. So that's it, and it says with our last two activations, the note suggests considering... well, hang on. Yeah, I was wondering where that bit was. So these are the notes. Well, in fact, it takes you back to the start, and that's where it's got the wee number 1 here for note number 1, because that's where we jumped from M as in is it our what is it? Is this the last objective? Well, no, it's not. So create a new force for the target. So we go back up to the start, and the starter has a number 1 note. And the note is down here, and it says create a force per this chart for each target determined by the axis of determination chart. If OC offensive, which is what we're doing, and one battle hex has already been designated, which is what's happened, only consider unoccupied targets, then 2-card combinations that puts more ground, air, than naval closer to the next highest priority target. This is another thing that scares me. I might have mentioned it. Yeah, I might have mentioned it earlier, but 2-card combinations. So what it's trying to say there is you're going to play 1 card just now to. You're going to activate 2 more units to move them into a position where you can use a card next turn to then achieve some of your strategy that you're trying to. So, yeah, that's another part that I'm going to struggle with a bit. But I totally get it. I keep saying, I've said it a few times, this looks like a fabulous 2-player game. And getting somebody on a similar level to you, I can see it being something somewhat like a game of chess, really, against, an opponent of similar quality to yourself. And I think it could just be wonderful. I appreciate all this bot Erasmus stuff. I really do. And I think it's obviously taken a lot of time to put it in. And I'm still hopeful that I can get a game out of this. Because nobody wants to play chess with me, honestly. And I'm not trying to say I'm good or anything like that. I'm just trying to say you would definitely need the timers to like keep me moving anyway. Okay, sorry, I got taken away there. So we can't create another battle hex, so we can possibly take something over because we've got 2 activations left. So obviously it suggests an empty hex. So, and then looking at the DI surrender, Chalat Jap, we're already attacking. Sorabaja has a unit in it, a naval unit. Banka, where is that? Okay, Banka's empty. Palambang we've already got, and Medan is occupied. So Banka, which is here, is an empty hex that we could bring in. I mean, that's what it is. That's not, well, it's a resource hex, isn't it? It's not, but I mean, it's not in our control. However, there's no sort of risk of special reaction because we've isolated all that nonsense, isn't there? Right, so let's just jump back to see what the... Oh, yeah. If we're going to target that, so I did look at the place unit. It says Banka and then tries to create a task force for it. So let's just see if we can... keep flipping these about and... okay, let's see if we can create a task force for this then. So is this, right, this is an empty hex, right? So is this an air naval attack on the target? No, it's not. We want a ground unit to capture it. So no. Is the target a coastal iron hex? Yes. C, can you capture overland advance? No, I was going to say yes at first because we've got that other sort of ground unit, but that's on Java, and Banka's on Sumatra. So there's no ground units that I can see. So C is a no. D, is the target unoccupied? Well, yes it is. So then down to G, is the target a potential SR special reaction hex? I don't think so. I just said that there's no zone of influence around that. I think that's right. So I'm going to say no to that. H, can enemy air or carrier units react to this target? Well, there's no carriers and there's no air, to be honest, is there? There's a couple of air units further north in sort of Burma and India, but nothing that can get down here. No. Yeah, so no. So it comes, sorry, I'm off. That was, what was it? H, was it? H, can enemy air or carrier units react to the target? Well, I think no to that. So invasion with naval support. And invasion with naval support as the force you want is naval, ground unit, amphibious assault, and carriers. Okay, right, let's see what it actually says here then. So this is for Banka. So does it come down to the same thing? No. It comes down to unsupported invasion. So what did we get wrong there then? What did we get wrong? Let's try that again then. So A, it's not a naval attack. B, is a target a coastal island hex? Yes. C, can you capture the target with an overland advance? No. D, is the target unoccupied? Yes. Did I go to the wrong place? No, it's G that we've got it wrong. Is the target a potential? I went yes. And I should have went no. So yeah, it was just me blundering along, wasn't it? Because it is not a potential special reaction hex. So yes, indeed, unsupported invasion. Okay. And notes 5 and 6. Sorry, 4 and 5 are attached to that. And 4 says, for ground units occupying a non-Japanese island's HQ hex, 1 must remain unactivated in the hex guarding the HQ. For ground units occupying a non-Japanese island. Okay. And then 5 says, activate 1 ground unit to invade the target via amphibious assault. Use organic, we must typo there. Use organic transportation if available, thus activating the accompanying naval unit. If not available, use ASP. If no ASP, skip this target. Okay. So let's, now that we've got it right, I think, that's to that chap. That's that one there, isn't it? So unsupported invasion, we eventually got to it. Where is it? Yeah, I'm looking at the wrong bit. It's further down. Right, unsupported invasion. Activate units to the target. It comes to the conclusion that it does have enough activations and has the damage level been achieved? Yes, yes. Move activated units to the target, but we need to know what it's actually bringing, because so what's it said? The notes indicate we should use organic transport if available, and it is in Batavia. We'll activate Cianacci and the 2nd SN Brigade to invade Banka. The Allies won't get a special action role. And then for this, in summary, CV Shikaku, Core Army attacking Chilacap, Cianacci, 2nd SN Brigade, land in Banka. Right, okay. So, yeah, they're just using these guys here. And this is just an organic transport. Now, did we do that already? I don't think we did we? No, I think we didn't we? I think I talked about it. 8.46 organic. Where is it? Japanese organic naval unit transport capability. Yeah, because it's only these guys that can do it. The sort of ones with the wee anchor on them. Sorry. I'm sure there's a better way of describing them. These guys will know. Yeah, it says they've got 5 brigade-sized land units. Yeah, I'm sure we've done this before. And it didn't. Yeah, I was saying it had to be empty, but I don't think it actually does. We did do it before. So basically, this is going to go in here. That's our last 2 activations. And yeah, there wasn't an issue with them tracing. It's the South HQ, so we can activate them. Yeah, I didn't talk about any activation. I felt like I have done that, and it's bad. It's probably a bad way to get in it. I guess it's just because I'm following this playthrough, because if I'm doing things myself, I'm going to have to first start with saying, look, that's HQ I'm going to use, and then try and work out my supply and my activation and that. So I suppose I'm getting in a bad habit there, though, just following the playthrough and not really checking, that this is in range and it's in supply and all that. But anyway, so yeah, so these 2 are going to move into here, and of course that doesn't cost an amphibious shipping point. That's our last 2 activations, and yeah, so you just need to resolve things. Now there's no special reaction like we've said, so there's nothing to resolve there regarding that guy's taken over. Well, actually, there's one thing we need. Excuse me. we need a control marker in there. He goes in there, and he can do nothing more than that. I'm going to jump the resource. This is up by another 1, because that's another 1 we've got. And then I'm going to leave the Nachi in there, because can it post-battle move? There's not been a battle, so okay, I'm a little unsure of that. So, okay. Yeah. Well, I have jumped ahead, haven't I? Because Allied, they could still possibly react to this. So let's just check for Allied reaction. Okay, and I was just glancing this, and this is the bit that there's a slight error in the actual playthrough. So, are there any special reaction situations? A, so there's not. Down to B, are there battle hexes? Well, yes, there is, because Chap. So yes, across to C, are there battle hexes in range of an in-supply HQ? Was that the one that... Yeah, it is. The playthrough comes up with a yes for this answer, and it got me scratching my head for a while, because are there battle hexes in range of an in-supply HQ? Because the Allies don't have any in-supplied HQs. They're all... The 2 HQs that they have are far too far away. So the person that... somebody asked the question as well. I found somebody asking the question, and whoever replied had said that they thought it was... Yeah, it seemed to be an error. And it might have been the playthrough example that it had previously, and that bit was slightly different or something. But anyway, that should return to no. It doesn't actually make any difference, because yes comes over to this, and then it comes back down to this anyway. So it doesn't matter in the playthrough. It still comes down to, if possible, roll for intelligence. And then, well, I'll need to find out what they roll, so we'll need to go and look at it now anyway. So there it is down the bottom. So no, yes, and this is the bit that they got wrong, and they move on to this, which turns out to be a no anyway, but I've just scored that out, because that should be a no, taking us down to the roll for intelligence. They roll a 7, and if you remember the card, sorry, that was a bit jumpy, Grant, has an OC 5 for reaction, so we need to have rolled a 5 or less to have reacted. So that turns out into a fail. And then I think we've been here before, so that turns into a fail, which was here. So we failed down to H plus I. H is a submarine card. No, execute post-battle movement. So that's going to be that. So they're not going to react at all. They can't react. Oh, shoot. Damn it. Sorry. Lost my camera again. So they're not going to, well, they can't react to anything, so let's see if I can try and finish this off. Right, this is the last page we're on anyway, so I might be able to squeeze it all in one more episode after this. Let's see if we can get to the end of this part though, because I'm kind of... It's taking a bit of time and I need to get away as well. So I failed intel roll, so the Japanese has surprise. Right, so yeah, that's relevant this time, isn't it? Well, actually, is it? Yeah. Well, as if it's a near naval attack. Yeah, but we put a carrier in, didn't we? Yeah, so there is an air naval attack and then a ground attack. Yeah, okay. So no reaction is possible. But no reaction was possible anyway, considering the board state for the Allies. Rolling out the attack, Japanese US. So this time the Japanese have a +3, and that's because of the surprise. So this is the air naval attack in Chap, and because they didn't adjust the intelligence, there's a +3 surprise attack modifier. So that's the one that they're showing you there. And then, So they roll a 3, and remember this happens before they can fire back, but they've nothing to fire back with air naval wise anyway. So they roll a 6, and a 6 is 1 times result. So let's go and have a look. 1 times. So 1 times. Oops. Oh dear. Right, that was full side up anyway. They were both full side up, weren't they? So this is the air naval attack. On here. So this does 14 points of damage to the ground unit. Yeah, and that reduces that. Okay, there's one thing here. I think air naval attacks cannot remove the last step in a hex, so they've then got to have the ground units to be able to do that. So yeah, this does 14 points of damage to him. He doesn't fire back with that because he's not air naval, so air or naval. So he takes a step loss there. And then I'll just leave that open now. And then we have the ground attack. So it says 1 times. Yeah, well, let's get the ground attack. So ground attack, whereas this is when he does get to fire back. But remember, because that was an air naval surprise attack, that's irrelevant anyway, because he couldn't fire back with it, could he? And there's a +2 to the ground attack here. Now, I'll tell you why that is. I should be able to work that one out, because we're the only player, the offensive player is the only player with naval units in the battle hex, and the defensive player is the only player with air units in the battle hex, because he's got a carrier, so that covers both of them. So that's a +4, but however, it's a mixed hex, so there's a -2 to that. So that knocks it down to a +2. So we have a +2. And the rolls are a 5 and a 9. So, yeah, this is interesting. So that knocks it to a 7 and a 9. So, the 7, this is ground combat, remember? The 7 is 1.5 times, and the 9 is 2 times. That's the ally. The allies are getting it 2 times. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Actually, I don't think it does make a difference, does it? So we get 1.5 times. So this is the ground attack now. So we get 18 plus 9. We get 27 against his 12. And he gets double his 3. He gets a 6 against our 18. So he's going to be eliminated. And that'll be that. And we take Shellac Chap. And I believe Abda is also going to get removed. Let's just have a look what it says. Right, so the air naval attack reduced the GI Dutch division, and the follow-up ground attack eliminated it. The Dutch tried their best to resist the core army, but even at 2 times the reduced attack strength of 3, because it got reduced in the air naval battle, it still didn't damage it. See, if I hadn't took a hit in the air naval damage there, it would have had 6. No, it wouldn't have mattered anyway, would it? Because doubling the 6 would have made 12. Which in the core army is 18, so it wouldn't have made any difference, I don't think. Even at 2 times the reduced attack strength of 3 still didn't damage it enough to reduce the core army. Abda HQ is also eliminated as a result of this attack, as it is a dotted unit. Yeah, I think I said that earlier. So the fact that it's dotted, it just goes away. If it hadn't been dotted, I think it would have been put on the turn track. So post-battle movement, There's no air units. There is naval units. So we've got the Shikaku, and the Nachi actually, haven't we? So yeah, I wondered about the Nachi because he wasn't involved in a combat, but he is actually able to. So it says, let's naval move CA Nachi back to Batavia and leave CV Shikaku and Chawatjap. Another Japanese resource earned for a total of 8. Now it's back to the Allies. I moved that up already to the 8. So let's just check these post-battle moves. So we're leaving Shikaku in Chawatjap. And obviously this doesn't post-battle move. He's just staying there. And then Nachi was going... Where was he going? Back to Batavia. Batavia's here, isn't it? Yeah, so he's just going to shimmy back into here. There we go. And that's that. That's the end of the card play. So I think the Japanese doing pretty well here, I think. I get the impression that it's quite good all this. So they've got 2 cards left. I think the Allies have 2 cards left. The Allies have 2 passes as well, and I think that comes into it next turn. But we'll come back to that. Because I think this has gone on long enough. Okay, but I should be able to probably put out the next bit as the last part and then make a decision on what I'm doing. I'm actually swaying towards, and this is probably a mistake, and I don't know, I was kind of swaying towards actually starting again, and then, I don't know. I dare say if any of you are watching, probably would prefer me to carry it on rather than start from the beginning again. But I guess just start again, but there's going to be different cards in each player's hand, and I'm not going to be following this playthrough. I'm just going to be trying to do it by myself. It's kind of scary thought, but anyway. But I'll see. I've not fully made my mind up yet. I'm kind of worried that once I do move into that I'm going to start struggling. So, what might be a better idea is to finish this playthrough, and at least I've uploaded this, and some people might find it useful. It's been of use to myself, but some people might find it useful, and at least if I start doing a playthrough myself, and then find that I'm struggling, it might be better me trying to play it myself, maybe play certainly 2 or 3 cards myself, without sort of uploading any video footage, and then see if because I felt bad about the Fire in the Lake playthrough that I was making. I got 6 or 7 videos in, and it is still set up, but I think I'm going to tear it down, because I think the way to go with that is in that new bot, and I got the new bot, the Truang bot for it, and I watched somebody playing it, and it did look much smoother. I think that's the way to do it. I'm not so sure anybody's really fussed about seeing how to operate the bots. I never got, like I say, much positive feedback looking for more, shall we say. And the fact that I've got that other bot there makes more sense to do that. So I don't want to make the same mistake with this though, and find that I'm in too deep here, which I think might eventually happen. But I suppose if I just try and record that and then keep it back for a wee while and see if I'm coping. Anyway, okay, this has gone on long enough. Right, I'll be back with the Allied card play number 4, which might finish it off, might take 2 parts maybe. We'll see. Okay, cheers.